Hey, before the podcast gets started, make sure to go cop some t-shirts. I'm gonna take you out to the website. YouTube demonetized me, so your boy broke as fuck. So if you want to help support me, hold on, let me pull this up. Oh, this is Stu's site. You can fuck with Stu too, but let me show y'all mine first. I'm the priority here, motherfucker. This is my shit. All right, so you got the Game Time tee, Game Time on the front, oversized tee, Team Macho on the back. You got the I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not supposed to curse in the first minute, but fuck it. I'm already demonetized, niggas. Facts. So yeah, I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm a bodybuilder. Yeah, so whatever you want to fuck with it. If you don't want to fuck with it, that's okay too. So yeah, like if you want, hey, if you don't even support me, if you support Kane, if you like dogs, if you want Kane to stay on his diet, you know what I'm saying, keep getting brolic, keep getting buff, fuck with some t-shirts. All right. If not, Kane gonna be hungry. I'll put the camera on him, but he's sleeping right now. They don't. That's why I said buff. I'm like, they don't know what brolic mean. If you're not from New York, you probably don't know. But anyway, support Stu as well, because he do this podcast. And I like to support my friend's business. Unlike everybody else who go rock Gucci and all that shit, I rock with my boys. So go cop Stu stuff, beefstew.net. He got the Fear the Fro shirt. That's my favorite right there, Fear the Fro Stu. And then he got this serious bodybuilding one, beef stew with the abs and thighs. Oh, he cheaper than mine. His is $28. Damn. I gotta drop my rate. I gotta match that rate. I'm gonna first cop my shit. But anyways, I don't want to make this too long. Team Macho, that shop, and beefstew.net. Fuck with your boys. Enjoy the episode.
I'm looking into trying my hand at something different as far as work goes. Not saying I'm going to give this up, but I was going to do something a little bit different. I went around on the other side of town looking at places, but that's something that we can discuss a little bit later. It's kind of in the fitness industry, but kind of not as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm not really that familiar with like SBA and stuff like that, like of how those type of loans work. And I'm worried that I may be getting myself in a little over my head. Okay. So
you're trying to be cautious.
Yeah, but it's also one of those situations where I feel like I have an opportunity, and just like with anything in life, man, like if you have to take a chance, because if you don't take a chance, you ain't ever going to get an opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't take chances, we don't get very far in life.
All these people think, oh, well, it'll get better, things will get better, this will happen. No, if you don't do something, you're just going to be living the same life 20 years from now that you are today.
Yeah. Like growing up, like when I was around, like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, I thought my sister was rich because she had a house, she flipped this house. I'm like, wow, she's rich, that's great. And as I get older, I'm like, no, she just took big ass risks. She just is fearless. And then I'm like, I could never do it, because I was at a point where, I mean, I would say I make the same money as her, if not more sometimes. I wouldn't be able to take those risks personally. I mean, at some point, I feel like I would have to be more educated in what I'm doing to do it. She didn't give a fuck. It worked out for her though, luckily. But
yeah, that's the thing is, I won't be putting all my eggs into one basket, because if you do that and you fail, then I'm not looking to start over in life at 36 years old.
No. Yeah. So, well, okay. It's like I believe in calculated risks personally.
Yes, very calculated.
Granted, people that take bigger risks, they get bigger. They get a bigger payoff, but they also can get the other. Okay, perfect. Aaron Singerman, right? I watched the video with him and Jay, and he's a huge risk taker, and it worked out for him. But you could also say, well, he also did wind up in jail, right? So there's a big risk, big reward, but also.
But even when he started Redcon, like that was a huge risk of the amount of money that he spent in order to get that business started. I mean, granted, it was a success, Seems like everything Aaron does seems to turn out pretty good, but
it does. But there's always that, there's probably so much stories from him that we haven't heard that he failed miserably that we're just not aware of.
I'm sure.
Well,
it's not all sunshine rainbows.
Yeah. For me, I like to have enough of a cushion that, there's people out in LA, man, that ended up like living in a car for like months on end and still made it. I just never wanted to be in a position where I was living in my car to begin with.
Yeah, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not doing it.
Is it worth it long term? I guess, but also I don't want to. I don't want to take a risk that big.
I'm not.
Hey, more power to those people, because a lot of them do make it very far, but it's not in. Also, like, I love money, but money isn't like my only motivating factor in life, right? Like somebody like Aaron, I honestly believe money is his motivation pretty much all the time, which is fine. But I think some of us, maybe happiness comes before that,
It depends on how hard you have to hustle to get that money. If you can hustle and get the money easily, but like if you're destroying your happiness in order to achieve wealth, then it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good point. And a best case scenario, if your means of making money makes you happy as well.
Yes,
that's
correct.
That's the thing,
I mean, it's just like that phrase people say that if you love what you do, you don't ever work a day in your life. I mean, I don't feel like I really work, man. Like, I don't think I have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the reason I'm searching for more, which this new other opportunity is going to be just sheer work, but I also want certain things in life too. So
I agree.
It's like I got to take that trade-off. Am I going to have to sacrifice 20, 30 hours a week in order to hopefully retire at a younger age and be able to just live my life on the water or in the mountains or wherever the hell I end up at? Then it's worth it. But if it's going to flip my life upside down, then it's not worth it.
Yeah. See, when you coach, you have a lot more clients than me, but still, like, when you coach, you always feel like you have the capacity for more work, just because it's not crazy exhausting all the time. But time management is the hard part. To take on more work and manage the time is where it comes in.
Yeah, because you're trading time for money. So if you're not getting the right trade-off, it's not worth it.
Exactly. I don't ever feel like, oh man, this is too much work, I can't handle it. But anytime I try to take on more work, I'm kind of like, oh man, now my coaching or my training or something is taking like kind of a hit, So, but I always feel like I have the capacity for more work, to the point that sometimes I actually look for more work. I'm like, okay, what can I do that fits in my lifestyle to make more money? And I'm constantly trying to think of that.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I do have a little bit of extra time laying around every day, and I want to utilize that time. I don't want to just sit around and watch a movie or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you feel guilty, right? If you're sitting around just watching Netflix, like,
I've been feeling that way a lot lately. I mean, usually, like you saw my coaching post, like I usually don't advertise until the end of the year. I like to start people at the beginning of the year, getting them ready for the season. And right now, I'm low on my clients, but low for me is not bad, because one, I'm not like hurting financially, and then two, it's also a good mental breather to get a little bit light.
Yeah. So sometimes the breaks happen in like a good time. I think breaks are necessary, but I try not to take breaks, because the break will kind of find you at some point, right?
Eventually, yes, it will.
Yeah.
And sometimes it finds you whenever you don't need it to as well.
Exactly. So, like, how some people like might take a week off the gym or a couple weeks post show. I never do that, but I know maybe once a year or once every 2 years, something's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna get sick, probably gonna go on vacation, and then now, if I get sick, I can say, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna try to rush to the gym. I'll just take the week or two off." Or if I'm on vacation, I'm like, let me just enjoy myself and not work out at all. So I kind of take the break when it's convenient in that way, instead of just taking a break when I feel great, when I'm motivated after the show, like, I can't wait to hit the gym. I don't see the point in taking a break then. I'd rather take it when it, kind of fits into the mold. You know. A question: have you ever met a bodybuilder that says like, I love this shit, like I love it, but watching them and the behavior and how they act toward it, they seem miserable?
Yes, man, I see it. I've seen it all too many times over the years. Like I've seen everything from that and in between. You know, I've seen people that brag. It's almost like they think of it as a point of pride to brag about how hard they work, but then they don't actually work hard. You
100%.
know, like I find the ones that are online boasting about putting in the work, and the ones that are saying I don't do this or I don't cheat, I don't whatever, are likely the ones that is dropping the ball. It's just
That's
like the
true.
people who online they brag about how great your relationship is. No, your relationship's hanging on by a thread. The ones that brag
100%.
about being rich, you ain't rich.
100%. It's funny you say that. Yeah, that's like a anybody who brags the hardest gets the least or whatever they brag about, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Same thing if you're you ever seen somebody Instagram handle like sexy Lexi and you're like, there's nothing sexy about Lexi, right? Or
Yes.
like
Correct.
or big man Hector and you're like, you're not that big, bro. You know, so
Yeah.
you have to overcompensate
But
usually.
no, I have seen people though, like you said, that literally kind of talk the talk but don't walk the walk.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like for me, when it comes to bodybuilding, like people would always ask me what was the least favorite part about it. This is not towards bodybuilding, but if you want to make bodybuilding like a business, then you do got to travel. And I never minded being in this city, being in that city, but like when I was competing, I don't know if I don't travel that much now, but flights would drive me off the wall just simply because like I'm planning my day around my food, my training, and that would just get shattered like once a week. And it was wearing on. It was starting to piss me off. So I had to basically adjust my schedules around that so that I'm not training on Fridays or Saturdays anymore because otherwise it was just wrecking me. And then the other weird thing is so like for example, I got this shit here. It's like when I go fishing, it's
Yeah.
sunscreen. I never fucking wear it, which is why it's sitting in here. I do not like anything oily or greasy on my skin. Like I just it just grosses me out. So like even though the tan is fine, when it comes time to get that glaze on, dude, there's something about it just makes me want to puke. Like I can't. And you know, when you're guest posing every weekend too, the first thing I would do is take the towel and I'm like scrubbing myself backstage to get that shit off. So I
Yeah,
think if that's the only things that I have to really complain about, that's really not that bad.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, granted, the last 3 to 4 weeks of a contest prep, that ain't ever fun. That's not fun for anybody. But you know, that's 4 weeks out of 52 in a year.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
if you're complaining about being sore or being tired or eating a bunch of food or not eating a bunch of food, then it's probably not the right sport.
exactly.
I
Like
mean, it's
it's
not comfortable at times, but it ain't something that I like had a problem with.
yeah, it's probably the most uncomfortable sport, but at the same time, you find fulfillment from it, right? Like even when I'm really hurting 4 weeks out, I find it fulfilling. Like I kind of miss it. It's weird. In the moment, I kind of want it to be over probably for the 4 weeks out.
Yeah,
But like after the fact, I kind of miss being so focused and locked in because I don't feel that way all the time, you know.
yeah,
But there's people legit. They just they look and sound miserable all year long. Like off
yep,
season, it's like they're dragging ass. It's like I feel like shit. And then every phase they feel like shit. And then after the show, they're always angry. No matter where they place, they're angry. Oh fuck, did bullshit judges. I'm like, the judges can't be the problem every single show. So at some point, you have to look in the mirror and
dude,
say,
I've seen people win their pro cards and losing their temper, like losing their mind within like 2 minutes of walking off the stage.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't. You got. I don't. I feel like there has to be enough pleasure for it to make sense because you're not doing it for money. You're not doing it for any other reason other than pleasure. So, are you really getting pleasure from it, or is it
Yeah,
just something you feel like you have to do for whatever reason? You know?
I feel like some people do. They see it as an identity.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they feel
Yeah.
like, like guys feel like they lose their identity if they don't stay big or something like that. And then girls feel like they lose their identity if they gain any extra weight or if their waistline gets bigger or if their butt gets smaller, anything like that. It messes with them.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people get to the point where it just becomes a routine rather than something that they like to do.
That's
And I think once it becomes a job to you is when you need to step back and reevaluate, maybe take a little time away from it, determine if you really like it or not. But, that's obviously a very individualistic person. I mean, look at Dexter, man. He went on for I don't know how many decades. And he seemed like he liked training all the way to the end.
He did. He still trains, right?
Like I said, he seemed that way. And then, I talked to him in person many times. He never had a problem with diet or training. So, I mean, that's the type of people that make it long term. But like if you're 5 years deep into it and you're already complaining, you're not going very much further.
Yeah, yeah. At one point, until maybe I don't know, maybe 2-3 years ago, I hated prep, man. Like I honestly hated prep to the point that I would really ask myself, do I really want to do this, or do I just like being the big strong guy? And then now I kind of love prep. I kind of enjoy prep more than off season. Off season is starting to get boring more than anything. But I
off season is kind of boring, to be fair.
It is. Well, it used to be exciting because I was always chasing like a bigger deadlift and bigger squat and shit that I don't really care about anymore.
Yeah.
But at the time, I want to see how strong I can get, and I still try to progress, but it's a very different kind of progression.
Yeah.
So that once that's out the picture, now the off season just becomes just an eating game, And then for me, somebody who gets fat easy, I have to be careful with how many like off plan meals I have or how much snacks I have and shit like that. So I can't just be like, oh, I get to just be fat, because I will literally get fat as shit. And
that's how a lot of guys are. And then when it comes time to prep, any muscle that they gain, they end up losing it because of how hard they have to come down.
Exactly.
That's a big thing too.
Yeah. Some people can get away with it because they have a crazy metabolism, but if you can't, then you just can't get fat to begin with because you're making prep so miserable. Your performance goes to shit because you're on no carbs, and then whatever you gain is pretty much, even if it's still there, it's so flat and depleted that it doesn't. It's a worn down look.
Correct. Yeah.
So you got to be careful. Yeah, but when was the last time you was on the show, Justin?
You what?
It's been when was the last time you was on the podcast? It's been a while, right?
You mean like the Fit Nation podcast or this one?
Or this one, or
probably at least a month.
Oh shit! Okay, so let me see. I mean, a lot of shit has happened since then, but let me see. Let me see what's in the news. 1 second. Let me share the screen.
I mean, the only big talk that I don't think we've discussed is obviously, there was Prague that happened.
Yeah, there was what's that show Akeem just did?
Oh, the big man. There wasn't any like drama surrounding that, though, was there?
No, not that. It was Akeem versus Horse.
Horse, yeah.
You know what I thought though? I thought what's his name? Mark Hector. I thought he looked insane.
He looked better than usual.
Yeah.
Only thing with him though, I mean, don't get me wrong, Akeem was far from being shredded, but I just feel like Akeem's conditioning overall was slightly better. Like when this guy turns, if he could get harder from the side and the rear, he would be a problem at pretty much every show. See, when he hits that side shot, that's where I think he's losing it at.
Yeah. You know
and muscularity, he's got it.
Muscle bellies, all of that.
And it's not like he's off by much. Like he's not off by much at all. I mean, a couple more weeks and a slightly better peak, and he would be there. I hope he does another show and gets that right.
Yeah, this might have been his last show. He had like some kind of shoulder. I watched the video, but I don't know the exact thing.
You mean
but he
like
had
last show ever?
Possibly, he had this shoulder injury, and he was told that if he gets surgery, he won't be able to bodybuild. But doctors say shit like that all
Dude,
the time.
they always tell you that. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, if this guy watches this video, I mean, if somebody, a good person to talk to is, look at Roman. Like, the dude had a full hip replacement twice. And you think any doctor ever thought he would, like, have big legs and compete again? Instead, he actually achieved his ultimate goal after that of making it to the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I think his legs got better.
Yeah, so I mean, anytime you have a surgery, no matter what I do, when I had my shoulder surgery fixed last year, they basically guaranteed 20 pounds is the most you're ever going to lift. Yeah, I'm completely normal.
Yeah, they're kind of dramatic, But yeah, he basically did this show just like in case he never gets to compete
in
again.
In case it's the last one, yeah.
By the way he looked here, in the check-in pictures, I could see one shoulder was pretty visibly smaller than the other one, and he was posing to hide it. But on stage, he was still posing to hide it, but I didn't notice it at all.
I can't see it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small difference, and it's literally only the shoulder. If it was the entire side, maybe it would be more noticeable, but it's only when he hits the most muscular,
his right shoulder.
Yeah. So when he hits the most muscular, you'll see it slightly.
The reason I was asking is because he's keeping it all to the left side. You see how he's turned to the left?
Exactly.
I wouldn't guess. Yeah, I can see a slight difference there. It's not bad. It's not enough that.
No.
It's not enough it's going to affect his placings, at least for now. Obviously, if it progresses and gets worse, that's a different story.
Exactly, yeah. The thing is, early on in his career, like his first few shows, it was like you're in shape, but you got to be bigger. So you keep hearing that, and then now, right, he's going for more of the size. But when judges say fuller or anything like that, it's always just more tissue. And once you have more tissue, you can just come in field,
That's where so many people, they take that wrong. They don't understand that when a judge says to be fuller, they don't mean eat more carbs. They mean get more muscle on you.
Exactly. I always say, just talk to your coach after the show, because the judges, they mean well, but they don't really know what goes into your prep.
I think the terminology that they use sometimes versus what the actual bodybuilder, like I said, when they say get fuller, when somebody says, hey, you're flat, I'm like, okay, I need to eat a little bit more, so I need to be fuller. But like, they need to say you got to get bigger, or don't say you got to get drier, say you got to get leaner.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think and I'm not going to blame the judges for that, because I hate to say it, the vast majority of them hasn't ever competed. But at the same time, the athletes either the judges need to be better of how they say that, or the athletes need to be better at interpreting that.
Exactly. Yeah. More muscle will almost, if you're above the height of probably 5'8", more muscle will pretty much always benefit your physique, because you'll be able to get lean. Sean Clarita probably can't add more muscle at this point.
Yeah, there's very, very few people that's actually tapped out in that department.
Exactly. I would say Nick Walker probably shouldn't try to add any more muscle, but this is like 2-3 people out of 100 pros. Most pros.
Nick probably doesn't need any. I mean, back when Rolly was competing, I don't think he needed any. Kai didn't need any, but like the vast majority of the guys, I mean, even Samson can use more muscle.
Yeah, well, because what's going to happen is he'll be able to come in leaner if he has more muscle too. Same way with Andrew. Remember, he came in peeled at the Arnold, but he looked kind of a little on the stringy side,
Like Hardy's a guy, I feel like, because of his frame, if he's not careful, he may blow it if he gets very much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say at least 5'8". At least 5'8", you'll be more muscle will probably.
Yeah, but Hardy's like 5'5" or 5'6", right?
Yeah, he's not tall at all.
But I mean, Derek's not tall, but Derek can still get bigger. He's got a lot of room to improve.
Yeah, he had the huge frame. Some people thought his waist was bigger. I felt like it was his sweeps. His legs just look undersized. If his legs were bigger,
dude, I don't know what they did those last 48 hours, but I remember seeing pictures at like 2 days out, and I thought, well, this is a repeat. This is an easy repeat. But on stage, it was not. The fullness I saw did not go on the stage.
Yeah, I saw
Like,
those
dude, it
hotel
looked like he
pictures.
lost like 3 inches off of his legs. It was that big of a difference. Very drastic.
Did he not post those hotel pictures? I saw it somewhere.
I saw him somewhere. I just don't remember where I saw him at.
He looked like Mr. Olympia in those pictures. You know, it looked insane. He looked like a bigger, better version of last year, basically. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. But he
Yeah,
looked
they just
insane.
missed their mark those last 2 days. Which, by the way, with Hani retiring, who's Derek going to work with?
Quick, from the word around the industry, he needs somebody like almost like a strong kind of like a father figure type of mentor to really get him locked in and not so Patrick Torres sounds like that kind of guy. That's about the only person I could think of. Kind of like Hani's personality,
Yeah,
you know. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure because it's one thing to have that person for a while, but to have that person after they've already won and trying to get another one,
yeah.
only Hani has done that with Jay Cutler. Really, that's a rough one. I don't know, man. I think everybody's been Boss of Outlaw now. I don't even know what other active coaches are working with top guys. Boss of Outlaw got all the top guys now. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, in defense to Derek on that, Jay had been around for like 15, 17 years by the time he lost and had to regain it.
Yeah.
Versus Derek is still very, very fresh to the scene, at least in my opinion. I mean, he's only been a pro for 7 years total.
Yeah.
You know, he's done open for 2 years now. So, like, I feel like with him, yes, there's obviously going to be a lot of pressure on both Derek and whoever he works with, but I think it's more realistic to say Derek can win it again than it ever was realistic to think that Jay could have. So I think Derek has a lot of potential to regain that.
Yeah.
I never thought Jay was going to I never thought Jay would have got that title back. I never saw that coming at all. Not disagreeing with it, but I just didn't see it coming.
Because his best
look was 8 years ago. Right? 2001. I'm talking about for Jay.
Oh, yeah,
so
Jay, yeah.
Who would think if your best look was 8 years ago and now you have Kai
Green. He explained the factors that went into that because after he got the title, he basically admitted that he got a little bit comfortable and a little lazy and he started focusing more on business and basically becoming a bodybuilder businessman rather than a stage bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like he's talked about that, how he was traveling all the way through the prep. And I'm assuming he didn't come out and say it, but I assume maybe cardio took a hit, stress took a hit, maybe taking his gear took a hit. I don't know. And then food, who knows? Maybe he was like me. Maybe he got stuck at airports and stuck at hotels and couldn't get things done right.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I actually had it put in my Evogen contract, and Hani was okay with this. Of all people, he was okay with this. I put it in there that 8 weeks out and closer, don't call me to go anywhere. I'm not going. Like, I don't care if it's the local supplement shop 5 minutes up the road. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And I feel like, he was completely on board with that because obviously he knows what it takes, to be at that level. So he wanted me to do whatever I needed to do to get to that level because I don't handle high stress situations very well. I handle them very poorly, to be honest. So, some guys can just, I hate this reference because I think it was when Matt said that Nick works better under chaos. I don't know if he works better under chaos, but maybe he can manage stress very well.
Yeah. Well, I would say, chaos is a strong word. I would say Nick seems to work better with his back against the wall. When people are like doubting him and he has something to prove.
Well, that definitely proved to be beneficial over the last few years.
Yeah, because that's all he's known from the beginning of his career is a bit all doubt and shit talk. So he's almost comfortable in that situation, But chaos. I mean, you don't want your life to be chaos. Maybe pressure. I would say.
On the flip side of it, though, man, a lot of people argue that my best look was Orlando Pro, and I had a breakup, and I had to move out at 10 days out from that show. So, I mean, that was a little bit chaotic, and I still pulled it together.
You see? Yeah.
I think, I don't know, man. Back then, though, I just felt like I was built differently. Like now, back then, I could keep my emotions together. I could keep my temperament together. I could keep my stress cortisol together. But nowadays, it's weird. You would think as a man ages and he matures that those areas would get better, but mine's actually a little bit worse.
Yeah. You know,
like when I was in my 20s, I really didn't give a shit, man. I was like a duck. I could let shit roll off. I'll let water just roll off my back. Not a big deal. But now, it's like if I'm 20 minutes late getting somewhere, I'm like, fuck, my head wants to explode.
I think there's pros and cons to that, but I think that's a good thing. I think as you get older, if you get more emotional, I think that makes you a better person to some extent.
Possibly. I mean, I've also learned to embrace my emotions and not just push them under the rug.
Exactly. It makes you you have more empathy, right? You'll have more empathy because you're a little more emotional.
So I definitely have more depth to my personality and character now.
For sure, yeah. Because I feel like when we first get into bodybuilding, it's almost like a distraction from the world. I remember in my early 20s, the world didn't exist. I would go to the gym, the world would disappear. You know,
yep, same.
Any stress I had or anything, it didn't exist anymore. So I would be able to get away and act like real life wasn't there. You know, but now it's almost like I let myself feel every emotion, and it doesn't always feel good, but I think it makes you a better person. I think I'm a much better human being than I was 10 years ago.
I just let it out now. I mean, whatever needs to be said, whatever feelings has to come out, just let the shit go. I don't bundle nothing up anymore.
Yeah. Joe talked about that on his story last night about how bodybuilding was just like a getaway, and he's coming to terms with a lot of his emotions now finally. You know, and some people, it will probably go over their head that they would have no idea what he's talking about, but it's not specific to one thing or the next. It's just like a general thing. Like everything could be a mess, but you go to the gym and then you forget about that and you try not to deal with any stress.
I mean, he's got some life changes coming too, though.
Exactly. So
I mean, I feel like that's probably, it should make him into a better person as well.
I think so too. I think
it's going to be very hard, like at first. But it will pay off.
I think so. I could tell. Yeah, I think it's maturing him a lot faster, and I think we all need that to some extent, one way or the other. You know.
Has he publicly mentioned any of that?
Not yet. I feel like if you know him personally, you know.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody who doesn't know him personally knows, you know. But I'm sure eventually.
I get it though, man. I'm a very private type person as well.
Exactly.
Like very few people. Like if you know me, you know a lot about my life. But if you don't know me, you know nothing about my life.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better that way. Sometimes, you know, because you let people in. Sometimes people use that shit against you. Unfortunately,
yes, they absolutely do.
You know, yeah. So unfortunately, okay. Yeah, but I know, like Fuad with the podcast, he said a lot of stuff about his personal life, and I feel like some of his like haters or trolls, they try to use it against him, which is
they will, yeah. And I mean, the thing is, as I've gotten a little older, like I argue, like people think I argue with them online. I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just trolling the shit right out of them. Yeah, like when people come at me and they try to like startle me, they think I give them what they want, but I'm not actually angry or upset. I'm like, I'm just keeping their fingers working the whole time. I don't get mad about shit anymore.
What I try to do is I try to give like smart ass responses to the point that once they stop responding, I'm like, I got you, because they usually want to keep going, but I'll keep going almost like I'll try to be more annoying than them. Just I don't know why I do this.
I annoy the shit out of people. Whenever they come talking shit, I'll just talk it right back.
I can't help it. Like the right thing to do is just ignore it. But sometimes I kind of want to just entertain it, just almost like for fun. Honestly,
there's been a couple of times. I mean, there's been times I've been serious with people, but there's been other times where I'm like, I'll go to like someone's profile and I'm like, you know, Justin, this guy doesn't really look mentally stable. You might not want to fuck with him. He may be the guy that stalks you and kills you or some shit. You're just going to walk outside, go in your truck one day, and he's going to be waiting for you with a machete.
I kind of got into a debate with some random guy. It showed up on my Instagram. It was some guy. The video was basically he's sitting there and he has blood coming out his shoulders, and he's like, "This is the truth about the fitness industry. If you want to be somebody, this is what happens, right?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I went to pin and I hit a vein and I'm bleeding." And I'm like, I'm just being transparent. And I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck?
It's
and
a shot, bro. It happens to everybody. Go get a flu shot. I don't promote that, but if you go get a shot from the doctor, you're probably going to bleed.
You just put a sharp object in your body. What the fuck? Like he's almost like I thought it was weird. And the comments were like, it was mostly like bodybuilders. Like, wait, how is this being transparent? That's like me taking a shit and being like, this is the truth for bodybuilding. I'll take a shit. You know, like no shit. You pin yourself. Sometimes you bleed. You know. And then I made a comment like, there's a difference between transparency and just like fishing for views, like in a weird way.
Sounds like he's desperate for some online attention.
Exactly. And then he looks like a 12-year-old. Like there's no muscle. He's a tiny guy. And then the first comeback is always, oh, you know, I forget what he said. He's like, you're just a big guy and you're probably unhealthy and stuff. I'm like, that's the first thing. Like people who take a bunch of gear and don't make any gains, the first thing they try to say is like they're healthier than you because they're small, which actually might be true, but that's not the point. The point is that you're trying to get big, you just can't. So you can't flex that. You know, you can't flex that you're small because you're not small because you're trying to be healthy. You're trying to get just as big as everybody else. You just don't know how to do it. So you're just small. Like you can't use that as a flex. So I'm like, oh boy, he's one of those guys. So I couldn't really get to him, but toward the end he started to kind of like backtrack a little bit. I'm like, okay, I just wanted him to look at himself in the mirror. It's just annoying. Some of that content is just really annoying, you know. Shit, I wouldn't even mind if he was teaching people how to inject. That would be more informative than you teach, you know, because there was what was the point of telling people you bleed if you pin yourself? No shit, you know. It was, I mean, but he did get a bunch of views.
Yeah, so he was showing like where to do it, how to aspirate, how to, you know, how to sterilize, how to do all that. Fine. I mean, I don't know about posting that kind of stuff publicly. I guess it's legal to do, but I mean, if you're going to post something, I feel like that's going to get you more attention than like what you said, but I took a shot and I bled.
Exactly. Okay. I almost like I'd rather you just say I wanted to get views because you're not trying to help anybody by that video. That's weird, you know. All right.
And you also have to make one day. Just be like me, like cooking in the kitchen or something. Be like, I really don't have anything to say, guys. Just trying to get some attention and views. Like if you can, share if you can.
Honestly, I would respect that. At least you're being honest. Shit, you know. We need more honesty in the world, man. All right. Wait, this is the show?
Look at my new pots and pans. You can use code JC. It probably ain't going to get you shit, but because it don't work, use that anyway.
Hey, question. Why do you think Presley all of a sudden is moving into second call out?
Dude, I really don't know. I think he's getting a little bit shafted on that. Like, I don't see this guy being a second call out guy. Like, that's just what I think of him. Like, I think he's, based on what I can see here, like, he's beating these guys pretty easily, in my opinion. I know Christian placed ahead of him. The thing with Christian, though, he does have he may not be as hard as Presty, but he has, like, he doesn't have, like, a super wow factor, but he also doesn't have any weak points either. Like, his body is quite complete. Like, he has everything head to toe.
I agree, yeah. And he also has like a good shape and structure. Oh, here's the thing. Some people are saying that it's because his legs are behind. His legs were more behind when he was placing decent, and I feel like they came up now, right?
Well, it could have been who he's standing beside too, because these guys beside him all have legs as well.
That's true. As far as conditioning, they're also saying he's not as hard as he was, which I could see that. But here's the thing: when he was coming in harder than everybody, he was losing to people who weren't as hard as him, but were kind of like fuller. So logically, he would probably say maybe they want me to come in fuller, being that my dryness isn't getting necessarily pushing me over the top. So I feel like he was just trying a different look, which I thought it was a good look.
He has to go back and use the Dorian Yates mentality of bring that same level of dryness, but just continue getting bigger.
Yeah. That might
ultimately, that's what bodybuilding is. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, yes, you can screw your structure up, but either you have a good structure or you don't. I mean, if you don't have a decent structure, you didn't make it to the pro level anyways.
Exactly.
Obviously, some are better than others, but like at that point, it is about size and conditioning.
100%.
Like I said, the other two things is your symmetry and then your posing. That's your 4 judging criterias. And posing you can fix overnight. I don't think he's a bad poser, but I just think he's proven that he can bring that really hard, crisp conditioning. He needs to continue doing that and just keep adding 5 to 8 pounds a year or whatever he can squeeze off.
That's literally bodybuilding. If you can get big and hard enough, you will win shows. If you continue to get bigger and harder every single time, you will eventually win shows. There's no way around.
As long as you don't have any like major structural defects, if you want to call it defects, but
yeah, even if your legs are a little bit weaker, like you can't have like you said, you probably wouldn't even make it to this level if you had 0 legs, right? So you have to have some legs. So even if your legs aren't the biggest, Brandon Curry didn't have the biggest legs, right? But it's like if you're big and hard enough, Brandon has crazy shape though, but still, you'll get there eventually, right? So, that's how I look at it, right? Like, let's say, sometimes people ask me certain questions, like, what do you think? Why do you have trouble peaking or this or that? I look at it like this: more muscle will always solve the problem, because if I'm in real condition, but then I look flat, if I have enough muscle, even being flat, I'm gonna look big enough, right?
That's one of the cards that I played, because I have like long muscle insertion. So everyone always thought that I was super full, but I was not ever full on stage. I was just big enough that I didn't have to be like raging full.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to if you have enough muscle and enough condition, even if your peak goes to complete shit, you're still gonna look good enough.
Yeah.
Because you're in true condition and you're truly muscular. So you don't need the illusion of fullness to look big. You're going to be big regardless.
Yeah.
So that's what I always say. I got to come back bigger and harder. Whatever was the reason of my placing with where that, the factor is always going to be bigger and harder, because you could always be bigger. You could always be harder. Granted, like you said, you don't have like a small frame or structural issues. So that's just always my goal, bigger and harder. You can't go wrong with that. I don't like to overthink the minutia. Well, what if you did this? What if you tried this? It's like bigger and harder, bigger and harder, bro. It's you don't have to get that precise all the time. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Nationals is in 2 weeks.
Yep. Actually, it's less than that, man. It's like 8 or like 9 days now, I think, right?
Yeah. There's some good guys, man. Let me see the right page. They posted it. We looked at it the other day. But the supers, are you familiar with who's in the supers?
Not right off. I have 2 guys. It's kind of borderline heavy, super heavy, but it's kind of playing that by ear right now.
Okay. So that's the light heavyweights. Okay. You remember this guy that used to train with Max Charles?
Which one?
The bottom middle.
What's his name?
Jay the Truth. What's his real name? Let me see. Jay the Truth. I don't know his real name, but JB. I don't know his real name. If it's JB.
The face looks familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's making a comeback. He's pretty good. He was struggling with condition for a while, but then he got it.
He tagged No, he did get that right. I was going to say, I saw Justin Erickson, which is my guy, but he also, I was like, there's Justin O'Donnell. I thought he got the tags wrong, but there's two Justins there.
They're both. Oh, this is your guy.
Yeah.
Let me see. Can you? What do you see right now? What do you see?
Justin's page.
Okay. Oh, let me follow him. Okay. So he's gonna be a heavy, right?
We were 228.2, I think, this morning.
Okay.
So me personally, I actually want him to come on down to a heavy. I will say this. I have him sucked about as flat as you could possibly be here right now. Okay. So I'm kind of on the fence where it's like, do you know when the check-ins is for this show? Because I don't know right off. I need to talk to him.
It should be, the show is Saturday. I want to say Thursday usually for
if they're doing check-ins on Friday, I don't think 24 hours is enough time for him to fill out properly. Yeah, so we may end up going supers. I just want him to be at his best regardless of whether that be and that's what I told the other guy too. You know, it's like, let's just be at your best and then let the cards fall wherever they're going to fall.
I agree. I think both classes are just as competitive. I think the heavyweights are deeper. Yeah. I think the heavyweights are deeper as far as the amount of good competitors, but the caliber, I think, is probably going to be even, honestly, if that makes sense, you know. So it's really about, bringing your best look. It's almost irrelevant, man. Like, so many times the lightest super wins the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember when Joe won the USAs, he was like, 229, 228?
He was the lightest by quite a bit. He was probably the lightest, you know. But he didn't look it because that's your best look. You're gonna look your best, you know. Shit, he might have looked worse as a heavyweight. I don't know. Who knows, you know. So okay, let's see. He looks good though. And this is boom. Yeah, O'Donnell, he looks good. He's always hard.
I think he's another one, man. It's floating like between heavy and super heavy.
He was gonna do supers, but you know, I don't think it's a bad idea though, because he still looks big and full. He doesn't look like he lost much tissue, if any.
Justin's one of those guys though, man, that like, because I worked with him for like 2 seasons, and no matter how, I mean, I know he feels the pain and the suffering from it, but no matter how hard I push him, he never had like a soft, flat look about him.
Okay, yeah.
Like, he's a guy that can go on protein and veggies, and I'd be willing to bet he's probably on fucking protein and veggies right here in this picture.
Yeah. How tall is he? Like 5'8"?
7, 8 range.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'm just a smidge taller than him, and I'm 5'9".
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but honestly, it doesn't matter which weight class you're in. I think it's all the same. I mean, as long as
I just think it's funny that these guys are all kind of like floating in that 225, 230 range.
Yeah. Everybody thinks
they all may be waiting to see what the other one does too.
Good point. Yeah.
I think a lot of people were worried, like when Elliott was going to do the show. I think a lot of guys wanted to be a heavy because they wanted to avoid him.
I agree. And I said this in the last podcast. I think a lot of people thought Elliott was like a shoo-in to win this show, and I don't believe he would have been the shoo-in to win the show. If I'm being completely honest, I think
I've seen him in person before when he's not been in shape. And he's pretty impressive when he's not in shape. Yeah, and the fact that he got pretty damn close this time, like, he does have he's very full, or at least his muscle bellies are full. He's very round. He's got a good midsection. His posing could use a little bit, but it did improve drastically. Whatever. I think he got with Joey Belt, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was Joey. But either way, his posing looked good. And I think he's much bigger in person than what he looks like in the photos.
Okay.
Just because last year I did a seminar in Jacksonville, and there was some Florida judges there, and they basically, hey, Elliot, come over here, take your shirt off. You're going to be the guinea pig since you're the big guy in the room.
Yeah. And he looked very impressive.
Yeah, and he was full blown off season there.
He's pretty lean in the off season though.
Yeah, he doesn't get fat. He does not get fat.
But how tall is he? Like how big of a person did he look like?
5'8", if I had to guess. I would say he's
Okay.
5'8".
Okay. Yeah, my thing would be if he did the supers, John John Effer, he's so big structurally.
Oh, I didn't know John was doing it. I know John. I've known John for a while now.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. I'm like, Elliot is big on his body.
John's got a big structure too. So.
Exactly what I'm saying. So Elliot is big and full on his own body, but in the lineup next to John, everybody's gonna look small. You know, nobody's gonna look big next to John just because it's insane how big he is structurally, but also
Hey, hold on, pause just for a second, man. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, do you think?
All right, I'm back.
Sir. Yeah, so oh shit. Yeah, but I was saying, not only is he structurally big, but
He's done a really good job filling out his frame at that height. You don't see most 6'2" amateur bodybuilders have way longer. Yeah, they look really lanky. Usually pretty aesthetic, but just the legs are usually down, and his legs are good. I mean, everything is pretty, really
What's
good.
the name of that show? Long Island.
Long Island Championships, yeah. So I thought he looked incredible,
and he was. I can't remember what year it was, man. It was like 1920 range. It was like him and his dad. I think I met him at North Americans.
Okay. He won Team Nationals before, no?
I did not meet him there, but I think he was right at like 20 years old. He was like the year after.
Okay. How old is he now?
He's in his mid-20s, if I had to guess.
Holy fuck, he's young too?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, well.
It's just when you have a guy that's got that much muscle, that much size. I hate the internet because the internet's like, oh, it aged him. I'm like, dude, it didn't age him. The fact that he's well over 300 pounds in the off season didn't age. Like, people always look, oh, you got old, Justin. I'm like, yeah, well, when I lost 50 pounds, I went back like 10 years too.
Yeah. A lot of people.
It's like a beard, when a guy has a beard, like, oh, he got old. No, he just grew a damn beard.
Yeah.
We have seen a few of these guys, though, over the years, like, just completely look like they went 15 years over the course of 3. But then, but the thing with him, though, you're probably used to seeing him as a teenager, which would have put him, it's the difference between a boy to a man. And, it's like people would compare, like, my natural teen photos at 170 pounds to, like, my top pro photos. That was 7, 8 years, 9 years difference. I literally went from a boy to a man. Of course I look different. Same with Bumstead. Chris was like 21 when he turned pro. Of course, a 21-year-old doesn't look the same as a 30-year-old.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't really compare the two things,
But yeah, people always, no matter how good you are, no matter what you do, somebody's always got to find a reason to complain. I think he's like 25.
He looks young to me.
I think he's like 25.
He's a big guy, but yeah, that's honestly, man, this guy could win the overall, bro.
He would be my pick so far, to be honest. That guy probably is my pick because he's a large guy. He looks like he's in shape. He's bringing it. And doesn't have a bad structure. He's got a shitload of muscle.
If he was in that good of a shape for a qualifier that was like, I don't know, 5-6 weeks away from the Nationals, that's a good sign. That means
he seems pretty smart too. Like just the way he handles himself.
Yeah.
I've been following him for like 5 years.
Okay, yeah, I think that I've known of him. I just didn't realize how good of a bodybuilder he was because he hasn't competed in a while. I would think. Right? I don't think I've seen him competing.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it, though, man. Is like if you can come back and just show nothing but just sheer improvements, like 20 pounds of
Yeah,
muscle with better conditioning and maturity. I mean, it just shows he put the work in with his downtime.
yeah.
And
He's
I
gonna.
think when you see a guy take 3 years off and he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. Yeah, he's. I think he's gonna stand out so much that it's gonna be hard for him not to get the nod because we don't see those kind of looks very often. You know,
No, especially not on tall guys.
no, not at all. Well, let's see who else. That would for sure be the front runner from what I'm seeing. Oh, I know this guy that used to train with Hunter. Yeah, I would say that's going to be the front runner for sure. Oh yeah, we looked at this guy too. He has a good structure, good muscle bellies. So. Oh, but they give 2 pro cards per class as well. Oh shit.
Yep. Top 2.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so John is for sure going to get one regardless. But I don't really see anybody in the supers that's going to challenge him really. But yeah, I think he's going to get that one for sure. All right. You want to do a few questions?
Yeah, let's do a few questions and wrap it up in about 10 minutes.
All right, bet. All right.
See what we got.
Let's see. Hopefully, we got some good ones. Okay. Why I always ask about Eddie Abu? Is he that popular? I get a lot of Eddie Abu questions
He's an older retired pro, right?
from Canada. Yeah, that's the only thing I know is like he's about. He says like no fruits. So what does he preach? He preaches like no something.
I know the guy, but it's been so long since I've heard the name. I'm trying to put a name to a face right now. I know the name.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a physique together right now.
Yeah, I'll do different. Do you prefer higher fats or higher carbs in the off season?
Carbs.
Oh yeah.
I think higher fats will make you feel better and function better, like with your brain and whatnot. But I feel like for a performance standpoint, the carbs are better for a bodybuilding standpoint.
Yeah. I always have like I don't do a lot of added fat unless it's needed. Like I like to maybe have like a 1 or 2 beef meals, and then like 2 or 3 chicken meals.
I used to do three
beef
beef.
meal. Oh shit, okay. Yeah, but I mean your metabolism probably needed it.
But I love beef though, man. I haven't liked chicken in probably a decade.
Yeah, chicken is.
I don't even know. I will if I go to a restaurant and I'll get fried chicken and that's it. I won't eat grilled, baked, sauteed, smoked. I want nothing to do with it, man.
Really? Yeah.
Like I literally won't eat chicken. I bodybuilding has scarred me from chicken. Like I said, deep fried and breaded, I'm good with, but otherwise I don't like it.
I'm doing chicken. I started doing chicken breast again because I was so turned off by it for a while, but I started incorporating chicken breast again just because honestly, it's just cheap and easy. That's really why, because trying to do like chicken thighs or ground chicken, I don't know. But chicken in general, I don't look forward to chicken meals.
No, I never liked chicken. I never cared for turkey that much. My go-tos was fish and beef.
Yeah, ground turkey. That's not my thing.
Fish, beef, and eggs. That was like I mean, granted, yes, I ate other sources, but those are the 3 that I enjoyed.
Enjoyed the most, yeah. Yeah, fats. If somebody just is not putting on the weight and their carbs are like almost maxed out, fucking 14 a fucking pound of rice a meal, and they're still not, growing. Then that's when I would add some fats, like I don't know, like whether olive oil or.
Sometimes I wonder when people's food gets that high, if they're actually doing it. And the reason I say that is I have one guy, I'm no longer working with him now, but I was working with him last year. And I noticed like at one point his rice cooked weight was like 450 grams per meal, which is a pound. 454, I think, is a pound to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 4 times a day. And then we had carbs in 3 of the other meals too. And what I thought was strange about it is when I started scaling the food back, we had 0 weight loss at all. None. I'm like, either one, you're cheating now, or you weren't getting all those calories in to begin with. Because there's no way we're going from that high of carbs to this low of carbs with no change.
Yeah. You can tell.
Like I should see flatness, fullness. Even if I don't see it, there should be a reflection on the scale. The food volume in your stomach.
Yeah, 100%. It's like there's people's bodies are different. Some people have weird bodies, but there's some kind of pattern. I think I would say my body is strange in the fact that you would be like, is this guy really doing 2 hours of cardio? But there's a pattern. Like if you make changes, there are going to be changes. It might not be as big of a change as somebody else, but there's enough of a pattern for you to be like, okay, yeah, he's doing it. But there's times where I had a client on almost no carbs and hours of cardio, and I'm like, I don't believe he's doing all this cardio. He would like plateau and then sometimes gain weight, and I'm like, I don't see. So I'm like, okay, let me give him a break. Give him a break, no changes. Push it back, no change. I'm like, okay, there's no way he's following this. So I was like, hey, I want you to have your heart rate at 150 for the 2 hours. He did no problem. And I'm like, there's no way you're doing 2 hours of cardio at 150 heart rate and there's no changes. I don't think he was monitoring his heart rate. I don't think he was doing the 2 hours of cardio. I don't think he was doing any.
I think the vast majority of people, when you start getting them to that level, where there's like just no carbs, 2 hours of cardio, obviously there's going to be fat burners in there, and you're not seeing any progress, that's when I start to question things.
Yeah, I start to
like some people go slower than others, and that's fine. But as long as I'm seeing us go in the right direction, that's cool. But if I'm just seeing flat line across the board, no matter what I do, something ain't right. That or to the point where I'm like, hey, we need to go get a hormone panel. We need to see exactly what's going on. They don't want to do that either because they know. I remember Dusty Hanshaw talked about that one time, and I was actually sitting with him in person. He told me, he's like, we were at North America. This would have been like, I don't know, man, 2015 range, 2016 range. And he was prepping some girl for that show. And more or less, he told me that he had her cardio like incredibly high and her food was incredibly low and there was no changes. And he basically said, either go get blood work or you can just admit to me that you're not fucking following this because it is humanly, metabolically impossible. He's like, you're losing muscle and fat with what I'm having you do. And you're losing nothing. So something ain't lining up.
Something's not right, yeah.
And actually turns out with that particular client, he said he went and they actually did do blood work. And I think he told me like her thyroid was pretty much dead.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, in cases like that, shit happens. But like if I can see that you have good gear, and your thyroid is good, and you're taking T3 on top of it, and there ain't nothing going on, it's too much of this.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing I could think of is maybe weeks before that, you were pushing the cardio hard and maybe you got so tired that now you're kind of just dragging ass on like 2 speed, something like that. But honestly, I've done that and I've still got changes. Like I've been so dead that I'm like, I can't even stand up, but I'm going to at least do cardio on 2.5 speed.
Yeah.
And I still continue to lose, even though I could barely do the cardio, but just doing that 2 hours of cardio.
Prep, your heart rate is always higher because your body weight's higher and your endurance is low. But as you progress throughout that 8, 10, 12, 16-week prep, your body weight's going down, so it's getting easier for your body. And then not to mention the gear you're on, your red blood cells are going up, so your hemoglobin's going up. So therefore your oxygen uptake is going up and your endurance is getting better. So like it's not always going to be a linear path, with the heart rate versus the weight loss. So like for myself, I always wanted to aim for that 130, 135 mark. But when I would get to like 3 weeks out, dude, it was like I had to run to get my heart at that level.
Couldn't budge, yeah. It gets to a point where it doesn't budge.
And then at that point, you're so fatigued, the last thing I want to do is high intensity cardio.
Yeah. But by that point, you're so close to condition anyways it kind of works out. It kind of like it still usually kind of works out. All right, Spotify episodes, please. Oh yeah, I have to do a better job posting on Spotify. I'm sorry, I'll do it. What do you want? Okay, what's the best event? What's the best live event you've ever been to?
Oh man, are they talking about a bodybuilding show or just in general? I assume in general.
I think. Yeah.
Well, this is going to probably disappoint people, but I've actually never attended a concert in my life, and that's sad. I know that. I went to a Cirque du Soleil. I went to a couple of those. That was pretty amazing. I'll give them that. They were very incredible. I'm gonna throw bodybuilding under the bus. The Cirque du Soleil shows are by far more entertaining than a bodybuilding show ever was to me.
I bet, yeah.
I mean, I've been to like comedy clubs. That's live shows. I mean, that's like my thing. I love a good comedy club. If you can make me laugh, I'm gonna be your best friend forever.
I love comedy too.
Yeah. That's like my. If I had an emotion or a feeling, I want to feel humor. Like, I don't want to feel it like that's my go-to. So now I've been to comedy clubs that suck too, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I'm trying to think as far as like live events though, man. Like I gotta say, I saw well, he's dead. John Witherspoon. You remember him?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Dude, he is one of the funniest motherfuckers ever. I saw him for 2 hours in stand-up. I saw him twice, and half the jokes were like repeats from the other one because it was like 3 years apart. It was still good. John's one of the best stand-up comedies I've ever been to.
He was, yeah.
But he's very authentic too. Like the things that you see him on TV is not what he incorporates into his comedy.
Okay, yeah.
But he was good. Mike Epps. I have to say, I was disappointed with Mike Epps.
He's not good at stand-up.
Do what?
He's not the best at stand-up.
He was too high, man.
Oh,
like
okay.
What was funny is this was back when I lived in Kentucky, and I used to go there. Like I was a regular at Comedy Off Broadway, and I remember the owner telling me, he said, "Yeah, Mike's smoking right now," and I'm like, "Smoking before the show? Like, is this actually? Does he do this in real life and not just for the camera?" And he goes, "Oh no, he's high all the time." I was like, all right, well, as long as he puts on a good show, but it really wasn't that good.
Mike is funnier in like a TV show or movie kind of setting, you know? But I noticed, I think a lot of his stand-up, it looks like improv. I don't know if he has it written down or anything. It seemed like improv. It seemed like he's just winging it.
Yeah,
but
he definitely did that night.
You know? But it doesn't seem... Huh?
We had an interruption that night. There was a girl there. I don't know if this threw Mike off or not, but you know, it is a good comedy show. There, people are drinking and stuff. And there was a girl there. She just kept screaming. She's like, "I love you, Mikey." And he's like, "Yeah, I love you too." And he was like, you could tell it was the point where at first he was like flattered that a fan's doing this. And then it got to the point where, hey, this is getting old. And then it got to the point where this is annoying me up on stage. So like she kept screaming, she's like, "It's my birthday, Mike." And he goes, "Yeah, bitch, shut up." And you know, that's like something that a comedian would say, right?
Yeah.
And that's definitely something Mike would say. So we thought that was like part of his like personality. He just stops the show and he goes, "Do you want the fucking mic? Do you want to come up here?" And all of a sudden it got kind of quiet. He goes, "Yeah, I'm serious. Shut the fuck up." He looks up at the street. He's like, she rattles off again, escort her out of the building. I was like, damn, he took it to, dude, she was in the table right behind me screaming. Like, I wish they would have kicked her ass out.
Oh my
God. Like, it was to the point, it was like belligerent drunk in public. And you just shouldn't get, if you can't handle your liquor, don't get like that.
No, because there's also the show going on. You don't want to make it about you, you know?
Yeah, she thought it was her show.
You say it once, that's it. Okay.
But yeah, as far as like live shows, man, I got to say either comedy clubs or like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah. I've only been to one concert in my life. I think it's like it might be a bodybuilder thing. I think the average person goes to more concerts.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I remember it was hard for me to go down because I'm standing there. I'm like, I kind of want to eat my meal, you know. It's oh man, yeah, okay. What's more overrated, insulin or HGH?
Overrated. I'm gonna say I think both have their place, but if I had to pick one over the other to be overrated, it would be insulin over GH.
Yeah.
Because I wholeheartedly think that you can use GH as long as you do it right and you do it safely. I think you can use GH all year round, minus the last couple of weeks for a contest prep versus insulin. Unless you're a diabetic, I do not feel that you need to be using that year round.
Yeah, and I could go further and say I believe every bodybuilder would benefit on some dose of GH, whereas insulin, I don't think it's ever really benefited me.
No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
That's just me. Whereas it benefits like what do you call it? People with faster metabolisms, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, people who store fat easy, is usually not a good combination. You know, I could be eating all clean meals, not even very high calorie, and I'll gain 10 pounds in a week.
You're going to hold on to everything from it.
Exactly. You know, I'm not even sure how much of it is fat, water, or muscle, but it's too much. I just feel very uncomfortable. And
you need it lethargic too.
Exactly. You know, and we all know damn well you can only put on so much. In a week, you're putting on 0.001 pounds of muscle. So there should be no reason.
Though, is the nutrient partitioning. It's shoving all those carbs and triglycerides into the muscle. So that's why you look super full when you're taking it.
Exactly.
And then when you come off of it, you know, these guys are like, oh, I lost 20 pounds of muscle. No, you never had 20 pounds of muscle. You had what I call like a super saturated cell state.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then when they lose that, it's just like the guys who take like a D-ball only cycle because they don't know any better, like the rookies. They'll take D-ball, like 50 milligrams of that, and then they're going out to the bars, drinking alcohol, eating pizza, and they gain 30 pounds. And then they come off of it, they lose it. Like, oh, I just lost all my gains. Like, bro, you never had any to begin with. You just had water.
Yeah, or D-ball makes me fat. And it's like, you make yourself fat. Food makes you fat.
Yeah, the drugs don't make you fat. You do that on your own.
Exactly.
Like, there is not a drug out there that I'm aware of that actually makes you fat. Like, I know people that take, because they have to. I've got a client with an autoimmune issue where she has to take prednisone every day.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she hates the prednisone because it makes her fat. And I'm like, the prednisone does not make you fat. The prednisone makes you hungry. And if you can't control that hunger, then you're going to get fat. Because the average person eats based on a hunger response, right?
Yeah.
You know, like normal people that don't bodybuild and don't follow a diet, when they're hungry, they eat. When they're not, they don't.
Exactly. Let's say like post-contest, right? There was a while that it was really popular. People were talking about bikini girls and metabolic damage, right? Whatever you mean by that. I mean, I'm sure it can actually happen to some extent, but these were girls who were taking a lot of T3, then stop taking it, but then go ahead and eat a lot of food as well, way more food than they should. So is the T3 making it worse? Possibly, but it was also the reason why you were so lean to begin with.
Yes, so, and that's what people don't get is like when they have a crazy bad, like, I mean this in a bad way, when they have a really bad rebound, I mean, obviously the numerical number, like whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever pounds they put on, is going to depend on the person's size. I mean, like, you know, like a 4'11" bikini girl is not going to rebound as bad as a 250-pound super heavyweight bodybuilder, as far as on the scale. But that being said, though, they don't take into consideration that, like, if you were eating, say, take the man, for example, if he was eating 2,500 calories a day, or even if he was eating 2,000 calories a day, you're taking 50 micrograms of T3, you're taking Clen, you're doing 2 hours of cardio, you're posing, you're doing everything right. And then all of a sudden, right after the show, you stop the Clen, you stop the T3, you stop the cardio. That alone is probably like 2,000 calories that you were burning right there. Exactly. And then you cut your cardio, you cut your thyroid completely, and you eat like an asshole for 2 or 3 weeks straight because you're hungry. Yeah, you're going to gain 20, 30, 40 pounds.
Yeah.
It's going to happen quick.
Yeah. It's not like the T3 is causing this. It's every single factor. You're not thinking about like you said.
I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times, or probably like 99% of the time, if you were to like take T3 and then let your labs come back to normal, like give it like 2 months, give it 8 weeks, your TSH and your T3, T4 is probably going to look where it was before.
Yeah.
It's going to rebound back. Now, your weight and body composition is going to look a little different, but
Yeah.
it's going to come back. It's not like your testosterone. Like every time you take testosterone and come off, that natural level is just slowly getting a little lower and a little lower.
Yeah. There was a time where I was coaching a handful of bikini girls, and I was really cautious about that. I would try to, the week after the show, they would do the same thing. I would have them, they would still be on less, but they would still be on T3. They would still be on cleanse. They would still be on the cardio. They would still be on a diet because they're doing half the cardio, and okay, you be like, I'm just having one cookie. That can't be that bad. Yeah, but that one cookie is literally 1,000 calories. And then
It's a crumble, yeah.
And then that lack of 1 hour cardio is cutting your cardio activity in half. Right? You also didn't train for a couple of days. So there's so many factors. You're training.
You think about a pound of fat is what, like 3,500 calories? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you take the water out of it and stuff, but if you add 1,000 calories a day minus the cardio, which is say 500, 700 calories off. Mm-hmm. So essentially that alone is going to put you at an 1,800 calorie surplus. So you're gaining a half a pound of fat per day.
Yeah. So if you think about that, okay, you took 2 quarter diazides, a half a diazide. Your body's going to try to rehydrate from that still. So, and now your sodium is probably a little bit higher from that same cookie, maybe some French fries you had. So there's so many factors that you're rebounding in water and fat, and there's so much things. So I can't just say, okay, that's it. Drop the fat burners and let's double your calories. So you can't do that. So it's such a slow thing, and I get it. You want to eat, but you're gonna pay for it. So I would go so slow, and they would still rebound because they're cheating. They're cheating more than they're telling me, I'm sure. But I'm also creating the ground for that. That's why I'm keeping it so low, because I know they're gonna go out and have a couple of things to do this. So then that would be the best way. And they would still be like, I'm holding water, and I would look at them. No, that's pretty good.
I feel like prior to me ever like taking on coaching full time, I probably would have said that women are worse with their diets than men. But now that I have, I don't know, I've got at least 8 years of full time coaching. I've got another 7 or 8 part time prior to that. Mm-hmm. But I actually think the men are more likely to be sliding in the cheat meals and the snacks than the women are, because women are a lot more self conscious of how they look. Versus a man, on the other hand, he sees the scale going up. He thinks he's just getting big, like, and really it's just fat.
Yeah, if a woman is all in and wants something 100%, they're willing to do anything. I mean, literally anything.
Yes, especially if it comes down to their physical looks.
100%. Female bodybuilders, open bodybuilders, are the craziest people on this planet, because they're not getting any kudos for it, because most people are like, ew, that's nasty. So they're literally doing it because they either love it that much or something. Yeah. It's all passion. So there's no response that they're getting that's making them want to do it, besides they just want to do it. So they usually, open female bodybuilders usually train the hardest, diet the hardest, do everything the hardest, because
absolutely.
But they're insane. They're completely insane. They're a different level of discipline. For you to want to even do that to your body as a woman, you have to want it so fucking bad, So they're fucking Michaela Aycock. I follow her, and I'm like, this lady is wild.
The level of conditioning she gets to, I truly believe. And I'm going to incorporate every man in this sport as well. I think she actually has the most superb conditioning in the entire sport right now.
I would agree.
I don't know anybody that gets close to her. I mean, she's not the biggest, but Michaela's like 4'10". I don't know. She may be 5 foot. I don't know. Like, she's not the biggest, but she can get in shape, and there's no one ever can deny that shit.
Well, and if you want to go pound for pound, the weight she lifts at her size, and scale it up to our size, there's nobody doing that neither,
Well, ironically enough, man, I think I I'm gonna pretend to defend myself here.
Yeah.
But I was 2 weeks out from the Arnold in 2016, and Matt was at my house, and Michaela. So Matt was living in Tennessee at the time. He was coaching Michaela,
Okay.
but Matt was in my place in Jacksonville, Florida. Michaela lives in like Ocala, Florida, like a couple hours away. So Matt asked me, he goes, "Hey, do you have a problem with Michaela coming up and training with us?" I said, "No, absolutely not. Bring her on. It's going to be fun." It wasn't fun because I'm pretty sure she lifted more weight.
Holy shit.
Granted, I'm going to defend myself here. I did have a leg injury.
Yeah.
But her leg
that's insane.
extensions were toe to toe with me. Like, not just poundage or reps, I mean, both. And like,
That's
when she
insane.
got we used a pendulum where it was called a hip press, like a pendulum leg press.
Yeah.
I think she kept up with me plate for plate. And I never felt this big my entire life, to know
That's
that this
insane.
girl weighs 130, 140 pounds, and she's literally kicking my ass right now.
That's
I had to downplay it like, oh, I'm tired, it's prep, it's this, it's that. I mean, yes, it was, but the reality is I was getting my ass handed to me. And I ain't ashamed to admit that because I was.
That's wild, man. That's wild. I also don't think anybody had ever brought their legs up to the extent she has, from having like weak legs to probably some of the best legs.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen many people improve. Most pros don't really improve their weak body part much at all, let alone, besides.
Well, that's where I think when it comes to people not being able to improve a specific body part, I think it comes down. I mean, genetics is one thing, right? Like if you don't have the insertions, you don't have the insertions. It's that simple. But I also feel like it's the determination factor. Like if you have someone with really good genetics and good potential, some people can give it 80% and get a pro card, and some people can give it 80% and win a pro show. But you take someone like Phil. Everyone said that Phil's chest was weak and Phil's back was weak. And Phil obviously took that to heart. And guess what? He may have arguably got to be top 3 best back double buys ever in history. So, I mean, from top to bottom, he nailed it. Not just from conditioning, but he brought his back up. I mean, his chest. He can't change how wide his clavicles is, but his chest was definitely 3D coming out at you.
For sure, yeah.
And that's because he was determined. He was, hell-bent on doing it. Same with Michaela and her legs. I think more people could do it, but they don't have, like, right after a show, when they talk to a judge and the judge says, "Hey, bring your arms up." They're motivated for a short period of time. But what about 365 days of the year to bring those arms up? That's what separates the winner from the loser.
You have to be obsessed with it to that extent, because from I forgot what podcast. I heard on a podcast that Michaela trained at one point, didn't train her upper body, and then did legs. Basically, did legs, rest, legs, rest, legs, rest. So like 4 leg days a week with rest in between. And I'm thinking, I'm like, well, that'll do it because it's like, okay, let's say Johnny Jackson. He just like, I'm going to train legs harder, but then he's also training shoulders and arms and back just as hard. So it's like, I'm sure his legs did grow if you measure it, but it made no difference because everything
else got bigger too.
So it's not, you have to do things that make you uncomfortable. And Johnny's somebody like, he's not going to stop training shoulders. Fuck that. But sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, but you need to do. And he didn't need to train backwards at all.
No.
Or shoulders.
No, he can never train back again. It'd be great.
No, yeah. So realistically, if he did what Michaela did, his legs would have came up because all the everything's going there. It's impossible. I don't think it could not grow,
Yeah, but with him, I don't think his lateralis was shaped to have like that big sweep on his legs. They were more straight up and down. And then not to mention, I don't know if I've ever really watched a lot of his leg training, but if it looks anything, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let's see. That's my mom is trying to call me right now. That's why I was asking.
His leg training looked like his upper body training.
If it looked like his upper body training, I feel like a lot of his downfall was in the training itself.
Yes. Well, because the logic is that, well, my back is big and I train my back like this.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. Okay, my arms grew when I was training with shitty form because that's just genetic. But there's no way my legs were gonna grow that way, you know. So you have to do things that make you feel uncomfortable sometimes, and it's okay to. It doesn't look as hardcore, but you're trying to win a bodybuilding show. Who cares?
I mean, I think what would have helped him, obviously, age has caught him now. But like, if you watch how Robin's been training lately, like super slow contractions.
Yeah.
I think that would have done him so much more justice than that like really fast, bouncy movements that he was doing.
Yeah, it looks weird sometimes, but look at Robin. Robin is blowing the fuck up. Yeah. It's working. You know, and he's still using good weight too. Like if you look at the poundages, he's not going light. Just because your form is good doesn't mean you have to. Yes, you might have to backtrack a little bit, but you're not just doing a quarter of the weight. He's still training heavy.
You still train. You keep that form. You still train as hard as you can within that form.
Exactly. So that's something I'm trying to get better at. For legs, my form is always good for legs, is because I couldn't move ballistic if I wanted to. My knees couldn't handle it anyways. Yeah. So, but I'm trying to do the same thing for back. You know, my back looks decent in off season. It's just when I actually get in shape, that's the tough part. But get bigger. You know, that's always the how it goes. You know. All right, man. I don't want to hold you too long. We've been on for a while, but thank you for coming on, man. Hopefully, everything's good. Hopefully, everything's good at home with you and your family, brother. All right, man. Stay in touch, brother. Yes, sir. Bye.